Part 77. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 762. Everyone was staring at the ring with dissatisfaction, ridicule, and other expressions on their faces. In their view, the man on stage was just grandstanding and overestimating his abilities. In the distance, above the restaurant, Xuanhuan also smiled and said, "He looks like a country boy, an ignorant guy who might be beaten to death." Mo Mingzu was non-committal. She just casually glanced at Wu Xiaoqan on the stage, and her eyes returned to Xian Yiming. No matter who goes up first, he will be the final winner. She remains confident. She had never met Wu Xiaoqan, so she didn't know that what was happening in the ring was her unmarried reaction of wanting to break off the engagement. And in the arena, Wu Xiaoqan was a little confused. Why did the master leave? Let yourself be besieged by everyone? Wu Xiaoqan felt, his scalp was numb. Alone against everyone's siege? Isn't this too difficult? But this is what the master means. He took a deep breath. The master and the others can fight so many people by leapfrogging the level. If I were to give up, it would be a huge embarrassment to the master and the others. But I want a fight. Wu Xiaoqan shouted. As soon as he finished speaking, many geniuses rushed to the ring below. Court death. I'll kill you. Let you pretend. They all spoke. Wu Xiaoqan stepped forward and fought with everyone. His speed was very fast, and in a blink of an eye he was already in contact with everyone, colliding with each other rapidly. Bang bang bang. The first few people he came into contact with were knocked away by him. Wu Xiaoqan's cultivation was in the middle stage of the second realm of chaos. During this time, he integrated radio gymnastics movements into his daily martial arts, which was extremely powerful. There are very few people in the same realm who can compete with him. Haha, this kid is quite interesting. The Beast Spirit Prince from Beast Spirit Mountain watched Wu Xiaoqan take action with a sneer in his eyes and said. He mastered some ancient techniques and blended them into ordinary boxing techniques, which greatly increased the power of the boxing techniques. Listening to his words, the big black wolf riding on his crotch let out a low roar. Ouch! There was murderous intent in this roar. The Beast Spirit Prince said, "Don't act rashly. I don't want to kill him. If he can survive by chance, it would be good to keep him by my side as a war slave." He is very confident. In his opinion, although Wu Xiaoqan was a bit strange, his realm was too weak. Soon, they will be killed by those who come to power. It's not worth his while. In fact, not only him, but also many truly top geniuses are not moving at this moment. For example, Nangong Ao, Buletin Tailing, Xian Yiming, etc. all just looked at him coldly. They all felt that the price of taking action against Wu Xiaoqan had dropped. In the martial arts arena, those who rushed forward were almost all second-level cultivators at this moment. There are more than 20 people. Wu Xiaoqan fought like crazy. He defeated many enemies, but also suffered many injuries. However, during the battle, he found that he seemed to be more and more familiar with the use of radio gymnastics. He no longer blends, but directly uses radio gymnastics to confront the enemy. Kick. Raise your hand. Stretch. Every action is extremely simple. However, it is extremely powerful. No matter how fancy the martial arts are, they are still vulnerable when faced with broadcast gymnastics. Bang! In the blink of an eye, Wu Xiaoqan knocked away the last enemy. He stood in the ring panting. Who else? He asked. At this moment, there was war in his eyes. No wonder Master and the others like to break through battles. This feeling is very good. Fall in love. At this moment, the expressions of many people in the audience changed slightly. This young man was actually able to defeat more than 20 strong men of the same level. Very extraordinary. His ancient method is very strong. His cultivation level is average, but his combat skills are good. Haha, I was too lazy to take action just now. It seems that now is the time. Suddenly, the crowd swarmed onto the arena thousands of meters away. At a glance, hundreds of people. Do it! Someone shouted, and they were immediately surrounded and killed. Wu Xiaoqan rushed into it with high fighting spirit. His spiritual power was running wildly, and his gymnastics movements became smoother and smoother. 1. He knocked away a second-level mid-level cultivator. 2. With a kick of the leg, the two masters who were attacking from the front were kicked away. 3. As soon as he raised his hand, surging spiritual power burst out. 4. With his limbs retracted, he immediately blocked countless fisting attacks. There were hundreds of people in the ring, and Wu Xiaoqan was in the center of the crowd, fighting from left to right. The enemies are like wolves, but he is like a newborn tiger, using the hands of the wolves to hone his Taoism. The more you fight, the stronger you become. At the same time, he learned 2 more preparation movements. This made him even more powerful, making him feel at ease among the enemies. Although his body was also covered in scars, more and more enemies fell around him. This guy is somewhat interesting. In the God of War Academy, Nangang Ao smiled slightly and said, "When he finishes this attack, Jin Yan, you can bring a few people up to try." Beside him, a young man suddenly said, "Yes." Tailing sect, Bulletin Tailing's eyes were a little solemn at the moment, and he said, "The magic he masters is very strong. It seems that it is not weaker than our sect's Tai Ling fist. What is the origin of this young man?" He was thinking. On the other side, the beast spirit prince also had a look of greed in his eyes. "Very good, I have accepted this war slave." As a practitioner of ancient magic, he knew that the ancient magic possessed by Wu Xiaoqan was absolutely rare. In a restaurant in the distance. "I didn't expect that this countryman could be so strong. He can be called a dark horse." Tuabali Ugjia's beautiful eyes were filled with surprise as she stared at Wu Xiaoqan non-stop. Mo Mingzu's beautiful eyes also became solemn and she said, "He is strong. Both his fighting will and skills are top-notch. What's even more frightening is that what he practices is an ancient method. Even our clan's top-secret skills cannot compare with it." Hearing this, Tuabali Ugjia was even more surprised that Mo Mingzu, the most ancient genius in Baichuan continent today, could give such an evaluation. "He, Sister Mingzu, there are already 2 men in this world who are entangled with you. You won't fall in love with this country bumpkin anymore, will you?" She joked. Mo Mingzu said calmly, "I practice ancient methods and I am invincible. Besides, he is no stronger than the ice and fire one." Tuabali Ugjio smiled and said, "Maybe, not necessarily." In the arena, the battle continues. Wu Xiaoqan's movements became more and more continuous. Hundreds of people fell around him. Now, the battle has entered a fever pitch, and more people are rushing to the ring and besieging him. There are thousands of enemies. Wu Xiaoqan was covered in blood, and he felt like his bones were broken. However, his fighting spirit remains undiminished. He took out a stone from his arms. The echo stone can leave some special sounds and can be played out at any time. "Music, start!" he growled. Then, the high-pitched Xuanhuan sound suddenly started. Accompanied by the sound of the Xuanhuan, he was mesmerized and immersed in every gymnastics movement. His movements became more and more standard. All enemies became the cornerstone of his enlightenment. Wu Xiaoqan entered the realm of enlightenment. It can be called a super god. No. What kind of music is this? It actually makes my scalp numb. This guy is a monster, too strong. He actually entered the late stage of the second realm. He broke through the realm in battle. He is a peerless genius. Countless people spoke, and at this moment, many people felt a sense of fear. They couldn't see where Wu Xiaoqin's limit was. It seems to be growing crazily. Many people can't help but retreat. Wu Xiaoqin has defeated nearly 1,000 people. Everyone spread out. At this moment, a voice fell on the stage. Jin Yan is here. A strong man from the God of War Academy, in the early stage of the three realms, let him come. If he takes action, this person will die. For a moment, everyone dispersed. Haha, Tailing sect Jiaosun also wants to try this person's skills. A young master from Tailing sect also stepped forward. My master wants to take this young man as a war slave. A slave of the beast spirit prince also stepped onto the ring. He was covered in animal skins, with fluffy hair and long pointed teeth. The three masters are all in the third realm. They will work together to kill Wu Xiaoqin. You are very good, but you are still not strong enough. Jin Yan sneered, and his figure suddenly disappeared from the place. Turned into after images. High speed. Wu Xiaoqin's expression changed slightly. This person was difficult to deal with. At this time, a faint voice came from the audience. Close your eyes and listen with your ears. It's Long Zixuan's voice. Although they got off the ring, they were also watching the situation on the ring. At this moment, give some advice. Suddenly, Wu Xiaoqin closed his eyes on the stage. He immediately felt the direction of Jin Yan's attack. Then, punch out. Wu Xiaoqin took 10 steps back. Jin Yan's eyes were surprised, and he couldn't help but turn around and look at Long Zixuan in the audience. The young man in the audience actually saw a flaw in his body skills. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 763. Jin Yan was a little surprised. He had a feeling that Wu Xiaoqin was not the strongest. The man who gave the advice was very strong. However, he didn't think much and immediately killed them again. At the same time, Jiaosun and the beast slave also moved. Three powerful men of the third realm took action against a late-stage second realm. Wu Xiaoqin tried his best, but faced the three people's attacks, he was a little overwhelmed. At this moment, he was fighting across borders, and he was facing geniuses. Then, Long Zixuan's voice sounded faintly from the audience. Be still and have no fear. Listen to the footsteps, watch the enemy's shoulder, and avoid the enemy's edge. With a casual sweep, Jin Yan, Jiaosun, and Zhan Nu were full of flaws. Jin Yan is good at physical skills, but his flaw lies in his feet. Jiaosun is good at boxing, and his shoulders move first when punching. The war slaves are rough-skinned and fleshy, but they run rampant. Wu Xiaoqin followed Long Zixuan's formula to fight the enemy, and instantly felt as if the movements of the three powerful enemies had slowed down in his eyes. He fought evenly with the three. At this moment, the whole audience was a little shocked. So strong. How did you do that? He noticed the flaws of the three people. There was a lot of discussion. But Nanggong Ao and others immediately looked in the direction of Long Zixuan. Who is this person, who actually knows the flaws in the secret method of my God of War Academy? Nanggong Ao was confused. The background is not small. Buletin Tailing frowned. It turns out that you are the master. The beast spirit prince stared at Long Zixuan, his eyes full of wildness. I want to see how many secret techniques of our God of War Academy you recognize. Nanggong Ao whispered, and then said. 10 more people. On the top 10. Behind him, everyone was a little surprised. Is it useful? However, they still stepped forward, stepped into the ring, and surrounded Wu Xiaoqin. You 5 will go too. Buletin Tailing also spoke. He felt that it was necessary to test Long Zixuan. All war slaves come forward. The beast spirit prince also roared angrily. Immediately, his remaining 7 war slaves rushed forward. 22 new third-level geniuses were added. Including the previous 3 people, there were 25 people in total. Dealing with Wu Xiaoqin. He's finished. 25 masters of the third realm, dealing with a late second realm. Although this guy is dead, he will die gloriously. If you can resist it, you might actually be someone who can enter the martial arts pavilion. Everyone couldn't help but speak. Even on the martial arts peak, on the edge of the cliff, at some point, there was an old man in blue shirt. He watched the situation on the martial arts stage. Deputy Pavilion Master, although this young man is only at the late stage of the second realm, he is extremely talented and can defeat thousands of people. He has met the requirements for joining the pavilion. I want to stop immediately and take him in, otherwise he will definitely die in the face of 25 masters of the third realm. Behind the old man in blue shirt, a middle-aged man spoke. However, the old man in blue shirt shook his head and said, "No. He has not reached his limit yet." In the distance, at the restaurant. "If this young man doesn't die, Tuabali will do it." Tuabali beautiful eyes were filled with determination. Why did she come to watch the battle? Just to discover some talents and adopt them for your own use. The more talents under his command, the smoother it will be for him to rule the Balin dynasty in the future. From contempt at the beginning to great importance now. Mo Mingzu's eyes couldn't help but be attracted to Wu Xiaoqin. At this moment, she felt that there was something magical about Wu Xiaoqin. She can't take her eyes away. Every action is so simple, but hits the point. With a strong sense of martial arts, he can actually accurately predict the enemy's attacks and find the enemy's weaknesses. She felt a kind of pressure inexplicably. The other party is an ancient practitioner. Moreover, the talent is very likely not weaker than his own. Very strong, but facing 25 strong men, fighting across borders, can you still persevere? She murmured. 25 strong men from the third realm work together to attack. Everyone shows different body skills. However, in the audience, Long Zixuan's words came out smoothly. The fingering is too weak and the strength is not enough. I will blow it up with one punch. The legwork is too messy, take 3 steps back, and kick the ball indiscriminately. The palm skills are so fancy, just punch him and kill him. Long Zixuan was too calm. Even Qing Chen and Wu Dade looked at him in shock. Although they can easily defeat these enemies, they can't be as terrifying as Long Zixuan. Seems to know everything about the enemy. Monster, are there any laws in this world that you don't recognize? Qing Chen couldn't help but speak. It's just like playing. Wu Dade also looked complicated. Xian King I was stunned. This Long Zixuan, what kind of person is he? In the arena. Following Long Zixuan's words, Wu Xiaoqin followed suit. Then, a magical scene happened. None of the 25 masters could hurt Wu Xiaoqin. On the contrary, Wu Xiaoqin's actions were extremely threatening to them. No. Jin Yan was surprised. He was extremely fast, but in a flash, Wu Xiaoqin's hand was waiting for his throat. He was hit directly in the throat and flew out. What? Just when Jiao Sun was about to raise his fist, Wu Xiaoqin punched him under the armpit, making his arm extremely sore and knocked him down. 25 masters made mistakes one after another. And then was defeated. Jin Yan, what's going on? He's giving it away. Jiao Sun is so miserable. What did he do? Why do I feel that the 25 masters seem to have discussed it and deliberately let this kid defeat them? Everyone was shocked. But Nanggong Ao, Buletin Tailing and others looked at Long Zixuan with horror in their eyes. They understood that everything originated from this young man. But, how did this young man know so many secret techniques? Does he know all martial arts? Simply incredible. Even Xuanhuan and Mo Mingzhu came down from the restaurant to the ring at some unknown time. Too strong, this person will definitely be able to enter the martial arts pavilion. Xuanhuan spoke. Mo Mingzhu walked to Xuanhuan and said, "Don't act rashly. He is scary, you may not be his match." Mo Mingzhu's tone was very serious. She has always valued Xuanhuan, who is one body of ice and fire. But now I have to admit, the young man on the stage seems to be stronger. There was even a touch of regret in her beautiful eyes. It would have been nice if I had met this young man on stage earlier. The secret technique she practiced in the martial arts pavilion required a Taoist companion. She must choose talented people who are strong enough. Xuanhuan was her chosen one before. But now, she regretted it. The young man on the stage practices ancient methods like himself, has strong martial arts skills, and has outstanding talents. It can be called a God-sent person. When he heard her words, Xuanhuan next to him was startled. He wasn't ready to fight. He didn't want to take the risk. The kid on the stage looked too fierce. However, he still pretended to be calm and said, "Mingzhu, I listen to you." Mo Mingzhu didn't look at him, but looked at Wu Xiaoqan on the ring and nodded symbolically. In the blink of an eye, all 25 masters on the stage were defeated. Wu Xiaoqan is independent. He looked around in a daze, as if he couldn't believe it. Did you actually do it yourself? Moreover, he felt that his understanding of the gymnastics preparation section had improved a lot. He couldn't help but turn around, looked at Long Xuanhuan, bowed deeply and said, "Thank you, Mr. Long." He addressed himself as Sir to show respect. Long Xuanhuan waved his hand and said, "It takes a little effort. Come down, let's go." Upon hearing this, Wu Xiaoqan immediately stepped off the ring and prepared to leave. Wait. At this time, an old voice suddenly sounded on the martial arts peak. A long rainbow of light flashed past the martial arts peak and appeared on the martial arts stage. The person who came was an old man in a blue shirt. He stared at Wu Xiaoqan, smiled slightly, and said, "Young man, what is your name? Congratulations, you have obtained the qualification to enter the martial arts pavilion. Install. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 764. Young man, what is your name? Congratulations, you have obtained the qualification to enter the martial arts pavilion. The old man in blue shirt spoke and looked at Wu Xiaoqan, his eyes filled with satisfaction and appreciation. But everyone around them was shocked when they saw this old man. This is the famous deputy master of the martial arts pavilion, Senior Xuanhuan. Someone revealed his identity. Senior Xuanhuan actually came in person. This young man has become prosperous and has won the favor of Senior Xuanhuan. He will have no worries in his life and reach the sky in one step. Having the deputy pavilion master come in person shows that this young man is really strong. For a moment, everyone around him spoke with envy. Xuanhuan, the deputy master of the martial arts pavilion, has unfathomable cultivation and is a famous senior master in the entire Balan dynasty. Meet the deputy pavilion master. Even Mo Mingzhu hurriedly stepped forward to salute. Xuanhuan just waved his hands casually and didn't look at her much. Instead, he stared at Wu Xiaoqan with a smile in his eyes. But Wu Xiaoqan was confused at this moment. What? Enter the martial arts pavilion? What's going on? He couldn't help scratching his head and said, "Martial arts pavilion? What is that? I never said I wanted to go in." He said it directly. Suddenly, everyone around was startled for a moment, and then burst into an uproar. This guy Doesn't he know about the martial arts pavilion? Doesn't he want to enter the martial arts pavilion? What's going on? Is this guy crazy about gain and loss? Everyone found it incredible. Even Xuanhuan was startled. You don't know about the martial arts pavilion? It was hard for him to believe that the martial arts pavilion was so prestigious that no one in the north knew about it. Wu Xiaoqan shook his head apologetically and said, "Senior, I'm sorry, I really don't know. This is my first time traveling far away. I don't know much about the outside world. Besides, I don't know why so many people gathered here. So many people just besieged me, and I took action in self-defense." He apologized sincerely. But after hearing this, everyone was a little confused. What? He really doesn't know about the martial arts pavilion. It doesn't look like he's telling lies. Damn, I don't know what the martial arts pavilion is, but he hit so hard. For a moment, everyone wanted to vomit blood. They tried their best and defeated 25 geniuses in all three realms. As a result, people had no idea what they were fighting from start to finish. Just for self-defense. Big mistake. Xuanhuan was startled for a moment, but then his old eyes suddenly became serious. Traveling away for the first time? Could it be that this young man comes from some ancient hidden family? This is very possible. Since you don't know about my martial arts pavilion, why did you appear on the stage? He couldn't help but ask. Wu Xiaoqan had no choice but to bite the bullet and replied. There was something wrong with the teleportation array set up by an elder. The position was wrong, and I ended up on this stage. I really didn't mean it. As he said that, he looked at everyone in the field and said, I accidentally injured everyone, I'm sorry, everyone. However, after hearing this, everyone in the venue wanted to vomit blood even more. They really want to say, damn, it looks like you are doing this on purpose, to make people angry on purpose. Injured accidentally. Is this human language? If Wu Xiaoqan was a genius from a certain big force, who planned for a long time and soared into the sky to suppress the enemies, then none of them would have such a broken mentality. For example, if the people suppressing everyone were long-established geniuses such as Nangang Ao and Buledin Tailing, they would still be able to accept it. However, now they were defeated accidentally, a country bumpkin knocked them over in a daze. I was accidentally injured. Doesn't this prove that they are weak? The mentality is broken. Even Nangang Ao and others were a little worried at this moment. Damn it, what you and others have been waiting for so long but have not been able to do, let a guy with a confused look do it? It's so depressing. When Xuanhuan heard this, he was really startled. He looked at Wu Xiaoqan with solemn eyes. Wu Xiaoqan just said, one of his elders, something went wrong with the teleportation array. This means that behind Wu Xiaoqan, there is an array master who can create teleportation arrays. In the entire Baichuan continent, there are only 2 or 3 formation masters who can reach this level. This is enough to show that this young man has a really big background, and there must be a strong presence behind him. I guessed it right? However, he pondered for a moment, and then thought, how could the existence of that level be teleported incorrectly? Moreover, it was so accurate that he appeared directly in the martial arts arena. His old eyes lit up, he smiled instantly and said, young man, you are wrong. That elder of yours didn't make a mistake in the teleportation array. He had good intentions. He asked you to come to our martial arts pavilion because he definitely wanted you to experience and learn here. It's just that you are too young, so you didn't understand the deep meaning of his old man. Xuanhuan felt that this was the only explanation. After all, how could an existence and power at that level make such a low-level mistake? Every move has a special meaning. When Wu Xiaoqan heard this, he was startled. He couldn't help but look at the big black dog on one side. It turns out that I was too stupid to see the deep meaning of Senior Go. Long Xuanhuan, Qing Chen, and others were also a little shocked and couldn't help but look at Dehei. Is this damn dog so scheming? At this moment, the big black dog was barking arrogantly, raising its head in a snarling manner, looking unfathomable. Next to him, Wu Dade couldn't help but muttered. This deputy pavilion master, I really think that this damn dog made a mistake. But before he could finish speaking, the big black dog bared his teeth slightly. That's a threat. Wu Dade's butt suddenly tightened and he did not dare to say any more. Young man, come to our martial arts pavilion, you won't regret it. At this moment, Wu continued to look at Wu Xiaoqan, and said. I can see that you have special skills and the ancient methods you practice are very strong, but our martial arts pavilion is the real martial arts holy land. Did you know that the martial arts pavilion is one of the origins of martial arts in northern Xianzhou? It can be said that half of the martial arts in the north come from my pavilion. The ancestor of the martial arts pavilion has always been ranked in the top 20 on the Dao Golden List. He is very confident. In fact, what Wu said was true. The Golden List of martial arts is the source of martial arts in the martial wilderness world. Almost all martial arts, combat techniques, magical powers, etc. in the world come from the martial arts gold list. On the martial arts gold list, there is the most primitive ancient martial arts. According to legend, it is related to a certain earth-shattering existence in the pre-White Mist era. This is also the reason why the martial arts gold list has always been favored by the world. As long as you can be recognized by the martial arts gold list, you can obtain the inheritance, establish a sect, and call yourself the ancestor. Martial arts are prosperous in the Wuhuang world, but all martial arts evolved from the martial arts gold list. The founder of Martial Arts Pavilion ranks among the top 20 on the Dao gold list, which can be called an incredible figure. Since the establishment of the Martial Arts Pavilion, countless disciples have been favored by the Martial Arts Golden List, and those disciples have received the inheritance, which is equivalent to the Martial Arts Pavilion. Therefore, the foundation of the Martial Arts Pavilion is truly unfathomable. Who wouldn't want to be in it? Who wouldn't want such a blessing? Without such confidence, how could the Martial Arts Pavilion dare to be so strict in selecting its apprentices? Wu looked at Wu Xiaoqan with burning eyes and waited with his hands behind his back. He believed that after understanding the supreme status of the Martial Arts Pavilion, Wu Xiaoqan would be so excited that he would kneel down to worship him on the spot. This is a reasonable plot. However, Wu Xiaoqan's expression remained unchanged, as if he was listening to a very ordinary thing. Oh, so that's it? I understand, thank you, senior. He spoke. Then, there was no follow-up. Everyone was stunned. What's going on with this guy? Isn't it obvious what the deputy pavilion master means when he says so much? This guy is so unreasonable. You still don't want to become a disciple and enter the martial arts pavilion? Wu was stunned and couldn't help but ask directly. He just said so much, was it in vain? Is this guy's emotional intelligence too low? All he had to do was salute him and go through the motions, and he could let him enter the martial arts pavilion and even accept him as his direct disciple. As a result, I had to ask directly myself. That's all, it's come to this point, so just go ahead and do it yourself, he said immediately. If you are willing to enter my martial arts pavilion, I, and even the pavilion master, will personally teach you. This is a promise. Hearing this, everyone was instantly envious and jealous. This is simply a step to the top. Even Mo Mingzu stared at Wu Xiaoqan with beautiful eyes filled with disbelief. Even though she was favored by the martial arts pavilion, her teacher was just an ordinary elder in the martial arts pavilion. She knew that in the martial arts pavilion, there were several invincible geniuses who were hidden away, all taught by the pavilion master and deputy pavilion master. In fact, from the beginning, she wanted to find a Taoist companion among those hidden geniuses. But, She doesn't even have the qualifications to get close to those people. Now, this young man in front of me, is about to become a snow-level genius? She was moved. My heart is pounding. But Wu Xiaoqan turned his head directly, looked at Qing Chen, and said, Master, Senior Dog's deep intention does not include letting me enter the martial arts pavilion, right? Yukin Wu's analysis of fierce as a tiger just now convinced him that the big black dog's teleportation array was not an error, but had a profound meaning and was meant to train him. Therefore, he now has to ask the master what they think. What do you think? You believe this shit? Wu Date couldn't help it. Qing Chen couldn't help but laugh and said, Not included, let's go. Wu Xiaoqan immediately relaxed and was so happy. He really didn't want to enter any martial arts pavilion. Senior, I'm sorry, my master didn't ask me to enter the martial arts pavilion. Goodbye. With that said, he turned around and walked towards Qing Chen and others. But everyone in the field was shocked at this moment. This guy has a master. That monk, is he his master? What's going on? How can such a peerless genius recognize someone else as his master? Incredible, what's the origin of those three people and one dog? For a moment, everyone was in an uproar. This is incredible. Wu Xiaoqan, in the eyes of everyone, is already a peerless genius that is hard to find in the north. This kind of peerless genius actually regards others as his master and respects their orders. The key point is that the fat monk and others also look very young. Could it be that these people are stronger than Wu Xiaoqan? Young man, why do you regard others as masters? As for Yukin Wu, his face suddenly darkened at this moment and he said, It should be noted that in our martial arts pavilion, we have the most perfect martial arts methods. Switching to our sect is the best choice. His chi was released instantly, and with a press of his hand, a perfect and invincible martial arts aura slowly spread out, overwhelming everyone present and making them breathless. Yukin Wu was very unhappy at this moment. He came in person and was rejected. This had never happened before, it was a slap in the face in front of everyone. Moreover, how could such a genius be allowed to leave? To maintain the everlasting foundation of martial arts pavilion, we must firmly grasp every seed genius. As the deputy head of the cabinet, gentleness and charity are of course just his outer appearance. When it comes to matters that touch upon the fundamental interests of the martial arts pavilion, he will never show mercy. At this moment, he was ready to keep people by force. Oh, old guy, are you ready to take action and rob someone by force? Qing Chen turned around and couldn't help but smile. Yukin Wu said calmly. I am just evolving the supreme and perfect martial arts for this young man. He stared at Wu Xiaoqan and said with a hint of solemnity. Perfect martial arts is ahead, young man, are you still not tempted? Wu Xiaoqan felt a great pressure, which made him extremely nervous. Everyone around them looked at the scene solemnly. Martial arts pavilion, he doesn't just come and leave whenever he wants. Such a loss of face to the deputy pavilion master, haha, this kid is dead. I'm really looking forward to it. I hope he won't give in and be tougher. If this happens, he will definitely die. We will lose a powerful opponent. Many people gloated about his misfortune and even looked forward to it with bad intentions, hoping that Wu Xiaoqan would resist and be killed. The atmosphere in the venue was on the verge of breaking out. Young man, think clearly, what can those people give you when faced with perfect martial arts? Yukin Wu stood high above, holding the martial arts seal in his hand, and his energy was harmonious, as if he was invincible, and said, Entering the martial arts pavilion is the right choice. This is a kind of coercion and threat, it is obvious. However, at this moment, beside Wu Xiaoqan, Long Zi suddenly said calmly. Perfect martial arts. He glanced at the seal pinched by Yukin Wu's hand, his eyes calm and indifferent, and then spoke. This magic seal is so simple. You have practiced it wrong. How dare you claim to have perfect martial arts? Hearing this, everyone was shocked. Who is this person? How dare you utter such arrogant words, saying that Xuanhuan practiced wrongly? Xuanhuan is the deputy master of the martial arts pavilion. Arrogant. The mine is so high that you dare to point out the deputy master. How ridiculous. Looking for death, looking for death. Everyone couldn't help but curse. Nangong Ao, Buletin Tailing and others also breathed a sigh of relief. Just now, it was not Wu Xiaoqan that they were most afraid of, but Long Zixuan. Because they all saw that Wu Xiaoqan was just fighting according to Long Zixuan's words. But now it seems that this person is just a daring person. They can all feel that the deputy pavilion master's martial arts is perfect. As a result, Long Zixuan actually dared to accuse him like this. Haha, it seems that this guy is not as scary as imagined, with half a bottle of water and a tinkling sound. He kicked the iron plate. Xuanhuan stared at Long Zixuan, anger rising in his eyes. Did I practice wrong? That's ridiculous. Who do you think you are? How dare you talk in front of me? He was absolutely furious. When you meet a genius, it's okay not to give yourself any face. Now, a young man dares to belittle his unique skills? It's simply insulting. However, Long Zixuan's expression remained unchanged and he said, according to your training method, the 5 internal organs will be destroyed. After 3 years of training, your lungs will become swollen and stagnant. After 5 years of training, cirrhosis of the liver is like gold and stone. After 7 years of training, I got a heart attack and chaos. After 10 years of training, malignant tumors in the spleen grow. In 5 years, you will die of kidney failure. His words were calm. However, when Xuanhuan heard it, it was like a thunderbolt from the sky. His pupils suddenly shrank, and his body suddenly shook. He looked at Long Zixuan with an incredible look in his eyes. Because, Long Zixuan said, he hit them all. The lungs, heart, spleen, liver, all have the situation Long Zixuan said. He had also been worried and scared, but this seal technique was so perfect that he couldn't let it go at all. The more he practiced, the more fascinated he became. Therefore, I have been practicing until now. But recently, his kidneys have indeed begun to fail. It was because of this that he did not teach Mo Mingzhu, otherwise, he would always teach the female disciples step by step. Within 5 years, I will die. Long Zixuan's words were like a basin of cold water, which made him wake up instantly and made his heart feel cold. He knew that what Long Zixuan said was probably correct. At this moment, his face turned pale, beads of sweat were pouring down his face, his whole body was trembling slightly, and he couldn't help but lost his voice. How can I survive? Please master, teach me. He knelt down directly. At this moment, the place was completely silent. In front of the martial arts peak, everyone was silent and stunned. Petrified. Good night. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 765. Everyone was shocked at this moment, looking at the scene with their mouths agape. Xuanhuan has a respected status and strong cultivation. Even in the entire Balin dynasty and even by Xuanzhou, he is a Taishan Baidu level figure. He is even the deputy master of the martial arts pavilion. But now he actually knelt down? Kneel down to a young man? How can this be? If word spreads, the entire Baichuan continent will explode, and no one will believe it is true. But now everyone sees it with their own eyes. What's going on? What he said is true. Senior Xuanhuan really had a problem with his practice. Senior Xuanhuan practiced wrongly, and this person, just by looking at him, understood Senior Xuanhuan's problem. Everyone was talking about it and felt it was even more incredible. For a person of Xuanhuan's level, his understanding of martial arts is so profound that no one dares to question it. But now he actually wants to kneel down to a young man because of his martial arts skills. Deputy Pavilion Master, why is this happening? Mo Ming's beautiful eyes were full of shock. The Deputy Pavilion Master was a high-ranking figure. She even cried and begged Xuanhuan to teach her, but Xuanhuan refused. Such a cold senior, such a proud master. He actually knelt down. At this moment, she couldn't help but look at Long Xuanhuan and completely understood that this young man was really amazing. What is the origin of this person? A flash of shock flashed across Xuanhuan's beautiful eyes, and then she revealed a strong desire and said, I, Xuanhuan, will decide on this person. On the other side, Nangang Ao and others were stunned and trembling faintly. They knew that Long Xuanhuan was extraordinary, but they didn't expect that Long Xuanhuan could defy the heavens and reach this level. Even worse than the deputy master of the martial arts pavilion. There was silence. Even Qing Chen, Wu Dade, and others were stunned for a while. They all looked at Long Xuanhuan a little, strangely. Please teach me, sir. As long as sir can save my life, I'm willing to go to pieces. Xuanhuan spoke sadly. It should be noted that because of his illness, even the entire martial arts pavilion is unable to do anything about it. Even the strongest pavilion master could only shake his head. So at this moment, he already regarded Long Xuanhuan as his only life-saving straw. Long Xuanhuan looked calm and said, Stop can prolong your life for a few years, but if you want to recover, you need to abolish your cultivation and start from scratch. But, can you stop? His temperament was so pure, he said. When practicing martial arts, your biggest enemy is always your own uncontrollable greed. As soon as these words came out, everyone in the venue couldn't help but tremble. The biggest enemy of martial arts is always your own uncontrollable greed. This sentence is very meaningful. He can actually see so clearly. How deep is his martial arts heart? Many people looked solemnly, chewing on the meaning of Long Xuanhuan's words. Even Xuanhuan's eyes were a little dazed at this moment. My uncontrollable greed. He recalled his excitement and anxiety when he first saw the seal technique. I had been cautious, had doubts, and had been afraid. But he was swallowed up by desire, because the seal technique is so perfect. He was immersed in it, and his martial arts became more and more perfect and harmonious. Although there were hidden diseases, he turned a blind eye. It was greed that destroyed me. He couldn't help but have regret written all over his face. But at this moment, Long Xuanhuan had turned around and left calmly. Qing Chen and others followed him. At this moment, no one dared to approach, no one dared to stop him. Thousands of geniuses watched them leave in awe. May I ask some of the gentlemen, who is your name? Can you make a friend? At this moment, Xuanhuan suddenly spoke eagerly. She is determined to make friends with Long Xuanhuan and others. Everyone is also paying attention, but until now, they don't even know the name of this person. Just a mountain village fisherman who can't catch any fish. Long Xuanhuan didn't look back, he just left one sentence. But everyone was surprised. A mountain village fisherman who can't catch any fish? What does it mean? Does this title contain any profound meaning? The more unfathomable people are, they tend to act weirdly. He doesn't want to reveal himself. Nangang Ao was deep in thought, with doubts in his eyes, and suddenly sent a message to Jinyan next to him. Jinyan immediately shouted to Wu Xiaoqin. I also want to know who was defeated by me. In Nangang Ao's view, Long Xuanhuan and the others were too mysterious, and it might be difficult to dig out any useful information. On the contrary, Wu Xiaoqin might be able to find clues. Wu Xiaoqin scratched his head and said honestly. My name is Wu Xiaoqin, I'm just a former tomb keeper. As soon as the statement came out, everyone was a little confused. Gravekeeper? What? This is an ancient title. It is said that they are still found in the Dead Man's Wasteland and a certain secret place in the Southern Territory. Could it be that Xuanhuan is from these two groups? Impossible. Although the Tomb Keeper was once very prosperous, it has long since declined, and even the inheritance is about to be cut off. How can such a strong person come out? Speculations abound. The three words gravekeeper stirred up too much imagination. But among the crowd, there was a beautiful woman. Her beautiful eyes shrank, her delicate body trembled, and she stared at Xuanhuan with a look of disbelief on her face. What? Xuanhuan? Did you hear it wrong? This name. Exactly the same as her former fiancé. Moreover, he is also a tomb keeper. At this moment, her heart was filled with disbelief. Could it be that the person in front of her was her fiancé? How can this be? It is said that Xuanhuan, the tomb keeper, is clearly just a mediocre person. Moreover, according to the news from his sister Wu Minglin, isn't the Xianyizong of Su State going to attack the tomb keeper? If he is really the fiancé, then didn't it just pass him by? No. At this moment, her intestines were about to turn green. I hope my sister didn't break off the engagement. I hope the family will move slower. She couldn't help it anymore and wanted to ask her family immediately. Sister Mingzhu, this person, could he be the fiancé you mentioned before, right? Beside her, Tuabaliugzhio came over at some point and spoke with some suspicion. Mo Mingzhu's breasts rose and fell, and she was very anxious inside. Now, I'm not sure either. I still have something to do, I have to leave first. She must first determine whether this Xuanhuan is her fiancé. And, the family, did they foolishly break off the engagement? What if this person is really my fiancé? What if the family has already broken off the engagement? God, she couldn't accept such a fate. Mingzhu, where are you going? At this moment, Xian Yiming came up and said. My 2 layers of ice and fire have been made. Do you want to take a look? I believe that with my abilities of ice and fire, the Deputy Pavilion Master will also favor me. Can you help me introduce him? There was a hint of enthusiasm in his eyes. Now that Xuanhuan, Long Zixuan, and others have left, the quota in the martial arts pavilion is still there. Can I rely on my relationship with Mo Mingzhu to move around? He had a weird idea. However, Mo Mingzhu didn't even look at him. Do you think the current Deputy Pavilion Master is still in the mood to watch your ice and fire world? His old man is about to die of kidney failure. She whispered, shook her head, and left. Xian Yiming was a little confused. How come this Mo Mingzhu seemed to be a different person? He was clearly very passionate about himself before. This is the end of the Martial Arts Pavilion Conference. But everything under the Martial Peak Mountain fermented quickly. It directly detonated the entire Balin dynasty. What, a young man is actually more knowledgeable than Yukin Wu in his previous life. Incredible, is all this true? Is my ear bad? Nonsense. Whoever spreads such a rumor will have to pay the price. The major families, forces, etc. were immediately in a panic. No one wants to believe it. However, more and more details are coming out. The world has to believe it. On that day, there was a commotion even in the palace of Balin dynasty. Soon, rumors leaked out that the emperor of Balin dynasty seemed to be interested in recruiting a son-in-law. The target is the so-called mountain village fisherman or gravekeeper Xuanhuan in front of martial arts peak. This shocked everyone even more. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 766. And at this moment, to the north of the imperial dynasty, in a certain secret palace, a man in black robes stood respectfully and was reporting. Commander, everything my subordinates say is true. My subordinates believe that the Guardian has discovered our traces. The Chaos Sun Archer is probably here for that big man. Kuro Luo finished speaking. After leaving the dead man's wasteland, he rushed to Balin Dynasty at night. Because this is their base camp in the north. And he knew that in the near future, a truly important person in the organization would go to the Wuhuang world. Therefore, he hurriedly came to report. He Luo's level was not high enough, so he could only report it to Zhao Jixiao, the commander in charge of the northern border. At this moment, after Zhao Jixiao listened, there was a look of contemplation in his eyes. Interfering with our plans in the Deadlands. 3 ancient practitioners with extraordinary talents, one of them is also a martial arts wizard. Haha, he's also holding a Chaos Sun bow. Zhao Jixiao slapped the armrest of the chair, stood up and shouted. Guardian, he doesn't keep his word. It seems that over there in the true ancestor realm, the big shot in the organization has broken down with the Guardian. They actually have evil intentions and want to target us. It's disgusting. As one of the 5 commanders responsible for the Wuhuang realm, he has a very high level and knows some secrets. The Guardians and the Visitors can be called ancient enemies, and they have been fighting continuously since the post-White Mist era. However, in this life, great changes occurred in the true ancestor realm, making it possible for the 2 families to shake hands and make peace. So, the Visitors have approached the Guardians. Previous news was that the Guardians were likely to compromise. However, now they actually sent men and horses to the Wuhuang realm with palms and sun bows. Is this an attempt to assassinate the big man who is coming to the martial arts world? Intolerable. Commander, what should we do now? Gather our forces to eliminate the threat. Kuro suggested. No. Zhao Jixiao shook his head and said. The explorers want to hunt us, haha, we can't resist hunting. They sent a martial arts wizard. It seems that they want to compete with us for the legendary evil corpse. We might as well just use the trick. What they, the foragers, have been looking for in the 4 realms and 8 wildernesses is the evil corpse. According to legend, after the end of the ancient pre-White Mist era, 12 earth-shaking corpses were left in the world. Those corpses were all great figures from the pre-White Mist era. Those corpses are related to the truth of the war in the past, and also related to the future of all living beings in the post-White Mist era. However, no one could find those bodies. For many years, the explorers have been searching. Until this life, there was a peerless power in the true ancestor realm who had glimpsed the secret of heaven. Things related to those 12 extraordinary figures may appear one after another, leading to 12 evil corpses. Therefore, they set up the largest snare in history, covering the entire 4 regions and 8 wastelands. They are responsible for the Wuhuang realm. And now it seems that not only the inspectors have got the news about the evil corpse, but also the Guardians, probably the same. Only then will martial arts wizards be sent to fight with bows. Commander, do you mean to use the martial arts wizard from the Guardian organization? But, he is the Guardian, how can we use him? Kuro was confused. According to their years of research, the key to finding the evil corpse in the martial wilderness world is to find a living genius with a physique similar to that of the evil corpse. Then, let the current genius practice all the techniques that the evil corpse used during his lifetime, and add an ancient forbidden spell, so that the current genius can resonate with the evil corpse. At that time, the evil corpse will be awakened. Haha, it's true. Zhao Jixiao sneered and said. So what if that martial arts prodigy is a guardian? As long as he practices our method, he will have to become our slave when the time comes. Go, take out some antiquities related to the evil corpse, and hold an auction, including some of the magic in front of the evil corpse. When the time comes, even the guardians will smell the fishy smell. Make arrangements so that the martial arts wizard must obtain our ancient method. Hearing this, Luo couldn't help but be overjoyed. Commander, what a brilliant plan. He couldn't help but admire him. In this way, as long as they do it skillfully, the Guardians will think they have captured a peerless skill, and after practicing it, they will become their slaves. The so-called, transplanting flowers and trees. My subordinates will do it now. Halo immediately entered the secret vault of the base camp and took out various treasures. These techniques are all integrated with the forbidden spell, even the Guardians can't see it. Halo picked out an ancient book related to the evil corpse. At the same time, he found some other antiquities. He picked up a piece of ancient animal skin that was as tattered as linen in the corner, wrapped these things, and then left, going directly to Genchi Pavilion, the largest auction house in the capital city of the north. Soon, a message came out from Genchi Pavilion. In the near future, we will hold a martial arts auction. Among them, there are many unearthed ancient artifacts, and there are even artifacts from the same era and origin as the martial arts golden list. Many big forces have received invitations. For a time, the imperial capital in the north was in trouble again. Real or fake? An artifact of the same era and same origin as the martial arts gold list? Who would put this kind of thing up for auction? It's incredible. Why do I feel, Genchi Pavilion seems to be deceiving the world? No, Genchi Pavilion has a great background, and its reputation has never been wrong. I think, some big tomb has probably been unearthed. For a time, the capital was abuzz. Immediately afterwards, Genchi Pavilion left images of the artifacts in this auction in a special crystal and passed them on to the world. Many people have received the image crystal, which is a jade table with a bunch of ancient artifacts piled on a dusty ancient animal skin. Image crystal can retain some of the atmosphere of the artifact, so everyone can feel the ancient feeling. Moreover, the most important thing is that the pile of artifacts actually includes a volume of ancient magic. According to the description, it is no weaker than what was leaked from the martial arts gold list. This directly detonated the entire Balan dynasty, and even the entire northern territory became excited. Many big forces came overnight. It should be noted that the 100-year martial arts gold list has just opened, and it is extremely difficult to get the favor of the gold list, and it requires unparalleled geniuses to compete for it. However, with a little inheritance, a clan and a religion can flourish. Nowadays, there is no need to fight for the martial arts gold list, and there are also ancient methods of the same level flowing out. This can be called a heaven-defying opportunity. Even if you get this ancient method, it may be a great help when competing for the martial arts gold list. For many forces, even if they are desperate and bankrupt, as long as they can get it, it is okay. Moreover, due to the mysterious origin and good reputation of Genchi Pavilion, people in the world are willing to come and take a look even if they have doubts. The Genchi Pavilion auction has become the focus of Xuanhuan. And at this moment, somewhere in a residence, when the big black dog saw something in the image crystal, its ears stood up immediately and said, "Wow, there is such a thing." Who stayed? It stared at the crystal non-stop, very solemnly. "What's wrong, dead dog? You're not going crazy and want to go to this damn auction, are you?" Wu Dade spoke. Qing Chen also said, "Day hey, just tell me, I'm afraid this is a scam." They were not very interested in the auction. Treasure. Kung Fu. These things, I really don't like them. However, the big black dog shook his head and said, "Of course I know there are ghosts, but it's worth a trip." Long Zixuan frowned. "Is there any treasure among these that makes you excited?" The big black dog shook his head and said, "There is no treasure. What I want, is that ancient animal skin that looks like linen. That ancient animal skin, is probably something passed down from the upper reaches of time, recording important information. There is a peerless strong man who desperately wants to tell future generations some things that happened in the upper reaches of time. It's a pity, Except for this emperor, I'm afraid no one in this world can understand that kind of thing. Hearing this, Xuanhuan and others were shocked. The journey ended early and we rushed back to our hometown for more than 10 hours. There is something urgent at home. Grandma is seriously ill. Good night. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 767. Is there an existence upstream, trying desperately to leave information to future generations? This is very amazing. Years ago, what exactly happened in that earth-shattering war remains a mystery to this day. 10 of them are dead, and the future is bleak. Who can know the twists and turns in the years? And, most likely they were left behind by old friends. The big black dog whispered. Maybe it's a suicide note from you or Xiling. A suicide note. The big black dog said nothing and kept dying, which shocked Xuanhuan and others. This ancient animal skin is really relevant. Let's go to the auction. Qing Chen spoke immediately. In this case, this auction is imperative. As for who's behind the auction, they don't care. Fishing. Those people don't know that what they are fishing for is not fish, but dogs. For a time, the whole city was in commotion. Forces from all sides flocked to Zhenqi Pavilion auction house, attracting everyone's attention. At the same time, somewhere. Mr. Liu, look, this is something that will be auctioned by Zhenqi Pavilion in the near future. Is it related to Wuzun? A young man held an image crystal and handed it to an old man. This group of people touched about 6 or 7 people, and they were all shocked when they saw the reflection crystal. This does seem to be a relic of Wuzun. Where did this thing come from? Everyone was talking. The old man known as Mr. Liu took the crystal, looked at it again, and said in a deep voice. That's right. It's a relic of Wuzun. That scroll may be an ancient method left behind by Lord Wu. Confirmed. This thing must be obtained. Among the crowd, a young man in brocade robes walked out and said. Give this scroll of ancient magic to young master, and he will most likely be able to successfully summon the final martial lord list. The young master in his words is their common follower, a true genius. Its target is on the martial honor list. Young master is in Zhongzhou, waiting for the martial master list. I will take care of the matters here for him. The brocade-robed young man smiled slightly and said. I heard that in the capital city of the Northern Dynasty, there are a few so-called martial arts wizards. One can defeat 1,000, and they are proficient in martial arts. Maybe they can gain a few followers for the young master. There was a vague sense of superiority on his face. Mr. Sen, it is absolutely impossible for ordinary people to get things related to Wuzun, let alone put them up for auction. I feel that there is something fishy in this. Mr. Liu reminded him. However, Sen Minji, a young man in brocade robes, said calmly. The people behind this auction are probably the prowlers. It's okay. Over in the true ancestor realm, they are negotiating with our guardian family. They don't dare to offend us yet. Just go and shoot. Sen Minji has an extraordinary status. He comes from a wealthy family of guardians and knows many secrets. The world has changed, and some of the powerful clans among the visitors and guardians have a tendency to cooperate. Negotiations are still ongoing. If successful, the visitor and guardian will cooperate. Therefore, the current attitude of their guardians towards the visitors is somewhat ambiguous. He believed that until the negotiations broke down, the visitors would not dare to target them. Follow me to the northern capital city, Zhenqi Pavilion. Sen Ming opened his mouth. Today, the auction will be held. People from all parties who came to participate in the auction have already entered Genchi Pavilion one after another. Genchi Pavilion has a profound background, powerful power, very grand buildings, and the largest auction hall with 10,000 people is extremely spacious. Wu Date and his party also walked to Genchi Pavilion. At the gate, there was an endless stream of people and people had to queue up. As soon as they appeared, there was a flurry of discussion. Isn't this the mountain village fishermen? The mountain village fishermen and Wu Xiaoqan are actually them. Are they also coming to this auction? In the last war, Long Xuanhuan and others had become real celebrities. No one knows, no one knows. Behind the team, a young man in brocade robes suddenly raised his eyebrows and looked at Long Xuanhuan and the others. Brother Sen, these people are the so-called martial arts wizards and mountain village fishermen. They have been making a lot of noise in Bailin capital in the past few days and have a good reputation. Next to Mr. Jinbao, a young man spoke. This brocade-robed young man is surprisingly Sen Minji. They have also arrived and are queuing up to enter the Genchi Pavilion. Not in a hurry. Sen Minji smiled. Ahead, Long Xuanhuan and others finally arrived. Everyone, please pay a deposit of 500,000 low-level chaos source stones. The person in charge of registration was an old man who spoke to them. Hearing this, Long Xuanhuan and others were startled. Security deposit? 500,000. They are all a little confused. In the Chaos Ancestral Realm, the Chaos Source Stone is the currency, which can be called the money of this world. But Long Xuanhuan and others don't have any money. From this perspective, they are completely paupers. Which, girl in green, do you have one? Qing Chen couldn't help but ask. Xian King I shook his head and said. I only have $100 with me, it's not enough. Wu Xiaoqan also said, I only have a dozen yuan. Since you have no money, please leave and don't delay the guests behind you. The old man in charge of registration spoke coldly. Long Xuanhuan said. If I don't have money, I can't go in? Is there any other way? The old man sneered and said. Yes. If you have any treasures, you can turn left and go to the treasure appraisal hall. But everyone. The old man sneered, looked at Long Xuanhuan and others, and said. No need to waste time. At first glance, they are just a few poor boys, penniless, where did they get the treasure? Come on, drive these people away, don't let them waste time here. The old man spoke directly. Suddenly, several masters from Genchi Pavilion walked over coldly. Damn, a penny won't kill a hero, let's go. Wu Date cursed, and several people had no choice but to leave the queue temporarily. Guys, if you want to go in, it's very simple. At this moment, a voice came faintly. I saw a young man in brocade robes, who smiled slightly and said. I have plenty of money. As long as you bring this thing, I will give each of you 1 million origin stones. How about that? He took out several collars. Originally, he wanted to recruit these people as followers, but now it seems that these country bumpkins are not qualified to be followers. You can only be a slave. After all, if you want to become a follower of that young master, talent and family background are both indispensable. Yuan. When Wu Date saw this, he immediately cursed, damn, this grandson is so insulting. He actually wanted to give them dog collars to wear. Wow, this emperor has never suffered such a humiliation. The big black dog was also very angry, with cold eyes. Haha, why be angry? 1 million origin stones, lowly people like you will never be able to touch them in your lifetime. What's more, if you put on the collar, even if you are slaves, your life will be very easy. The glory, wealth, clothing, and food are right before your eyes. Sen Ming opened his mouth and said calmly. It's your pleasure. He felt that these natives were really uncivilized and did not know how to commend themselves. Honor you ###. Wu Dade cursed again and said. Don't stop me, I must let him taste the Butt Emperor's suppression today. He is ready to take action. Stop. At this time, the experts from Genshi Pavilion were approaching, staring coldly at Wu Dade and others, and said. This is the Genshi Pavilion, and there is no room for you to wait and act recklessly. Taking action against the guests of my pavilion? You are making an enemy of our Genshi Pavilion. Every guest who participates in the auction at Genshi Pavilion will be protected by Genshi Pavilion. Hearing this, Wu Dade became even more angry. Damn, if you don't have money, you can only be insulted? Wu Dade really couldn't bear it anymore. I can't bear it. He clenched his fists and his eyes turned red. Then he suddenly turned around and said. Damn dog, let's go, I'll take you to a place where no one is around. The big black dog was startled for a moment. Was this person stimulated? Why doesn't it feel right? Ren Chong, what do you want to do to me? Calm down. It's a little timid. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 768. Warm reminder, consume this chapter before meals, forewarning, forewarning. Under Wu Dade's coercion, the big black dog reluctantly followed him to find a place where no one was. As for Long Xuanhuan, Qing Chen, and others who stayed where they were also very confused. What happened to junior brother Dade? Strange. Haha, you ignorant natives, give you time to think about it slowly. Sen Minji sneered. He was not in a hurry, because he had seen too many so-called arrogance of poor people. However, those lofty and arrogant people can no longer compete with reality in the end. For money, origin stones, and other resources, a genius who wears a dog collar is like a crucian carp crossing the river. Many people even covet dog collars. Qing Chen suddenly said. Have you put on this collar? Sen Ming was stunned, but then he said. Of course not. People like me wear jade tokens. He took off a hanging jade plaque from his neck, flashed it in front of everyone's eyes like a show-off, and said. It's a pity that you don't deserve it. Qing Chen said. Tisk, to put it bluntly, it's a high-level dog tag. Once you become a higher-level dog, you can mock dogs lower than you, dog nature is really hard to change. He said, glancing around Meow gently, and he was relieved when Dehe hadn't come back yet. Otherwise, Dehe won't let Dehe bite him to death for saying this. Ignorant native, what do you know? Sen Ming shouted angrily. At the same time, the master of Genshi Pavilion also looked at Qing Chen with a bad look on his face. Insulting their Genshi Pavilion guests is almost crossing the line. Wearing the collar, do you feel comfortable? Long Xuanhuan spoke calmly. Upon hearing this, Sen Ming sneered. Certainly. Every month, you can enter a place with rich spiritual energy to practice for one day. Every 6 months, a panacea will be issued. Every 3 months, you can also get guidance from famous teachers. Resources, skills, are all inexhaustible. He sneered, look at your poor background, think about the miserable environment you live in, think about the poor life you live. Sen Ming had a smile in his eyes. You will understand that this collar is not a shackles, but the key to a better life. He is arrogant. When Long Xuanhuan heard this, he couldn't help but sigh. I enter the blessed land to practice 1 day a month and receive elixirs every half a year, it's quite wonderful. Qing Chen also said. Tisk, our life is really miserable. Seeing this, Sen Ming flashed a proud look and sneered. Think slowly, 1 million origin stones is not enough, I can give you an extra chance, it will be fleeting. After saying that, he turned around, paid the auction deposit, and entered the Genshi Pavilion auction hall. Qing Chen looked at Sen Minji's leaving figure, his eyes full of envy. Envy? Long Xuanhuan asked. Qing Chen nodded, I really envy his confidence. Long Xuanhuan. Soon, Wu Dade and Big Black Dog came back. Wu Dade pinched his nose and held a box in his hand. The box had 3 layers inside and 3 layers outside, which were tightly covered. Wu Dade's eyes were filled with disgust. But the Big Black Dog was calm and relaxed, as if his whole body was relaxed. Long Xuanhuan and Qing Chen both had an ominous premonition in their hearts. No way, no way. Qing Chen asked, Junior brother Dade, is this, what kind of treasure? How protected? Wu Dade said, it should be, regarded as a treasure. Come on, follow me, let's go to the treasure appraisal hall. Hearing this, the uneasiness in the hearts of Long Xuanhuan and Qing Chen became even stronger. A group of them walked to the treasure appraisal hall. Do you guys appraise treasures? As soon as he entered the hall, a middle-aged man greeted him with a smile. Wu Dade nodded and said, who are you? The middle-aged man said, I am Han He, the person in charge of the treasure appraisal department. I wonder how many of you want to identify it? What kind of treasure is it? Kung Fu, elixir, exotic treasure. Wu Dade was confused by the question. He said to the Big Black Dog, Dead dog, what does this mean? Han He. Now, why are you asking about the dog? Is it reliable? The Big Black Dog said calmly. Elixir. Wu Dade nodded and said calmly. Elixir. Han He was a little uneasy and said, did this dog tell you? Wu Dade said. Don't ask any more questions. Anyway, this is the elixir and that's it. Han He was filled with doubts and said. I need to take a look at the elixir first. After it is basically qualified, I can send it to the master sitting in the hall for appraisal. Wu Dade was a little reluctant, why should he open it now? Do you really want to see it? Han He became more and more suspicious. There was probably something in this box instead of a precious medicine. Want to see? An extremely helpless expression flashed across Wu Dade's eyes and he said. Okay, come closer. Just at the edge of the box, you can smell the elixir. Han He was also curious. This fat man was so mysterious. He immediately came closer. Wu Dade gently opened the box a little bit. Suddenly, an inexplicable smell came out. Han He was stunned for a moment, with a look of shock on his face. No. What does this smell like? It's so offensive to my nose. But, it has such a strong medicinal smell. Could it be, that it's a 4-star or higher elixir? Han He was shocked. He felt that his forehead was numb from the smell, but at the same time, he felt a sense of relief all over his body. This is an amazing elixir. At the same time, many people in the hall also looked at him sideways. A strong medicinal smell, not simple. Is there a rare and great medicine that has been released? Extraordinary. Caused a commotion. Only Qing Chen and Long Xuanhuan were straight-eyed. They looked at Wu Dade and saw that Wu Dade had a numb face, as if he was used to it. Junior brother Dade, you are a ruthless person. Qing Chen couldn't help but sigh. I'm convinced. Long Xuanhuan also gave a thumbs up. Han He said hurriedly. Please close it quickly, close the box quickly. This kind of precious medicine will be bad if the medicinal energy dissipates. Wu Dade then closed the box. Guys, please come with me. Han He looked solemn and said with excitement in his eyes. I'll ask the chief treasure appraiser to appraise it for you. In this box, there may be a 5-star treasure medicine. 5-star treasure medicine can allow cultivators of the 4th realm to directly break through the realm, and is also of great use to cultivators of the 5th realm. And, this medicine may be higher than the 5 realms. Once you reach the 6th realm, that would cause a storm. He personally took Wu Date and others to the treasure appraisal room of the chief treasure appraiser. Han He stepped forward and knocked on the door. "Ai Lao, there is a treasure that I would like to ask you to take a look at. Come in." In the room, an old voice sounded faintly. Han He opened the door, stretched out his hand and said, "Everyone, please." Wu Date took the lead and walked in, followed by Xuanhuan and others. Entering the treasure appraisal room, you can see that the interior decoration is simple, with only a classic mahogany long table placed. Opposite the table, an old man with silver hair is sitting. He is the chief treasure appraiser of Genchi Pavilion, Ai Shi. Mysterious Dao patterns are carved on the surrounding walls. "Xuanhuan brought you here. It seems that you have some good things in your hands." Ai Shi spoke calmly and said, "Take it out and have a look." Wu Date immediately put the box on the table, with a complicated look on his face, and said, "Master, this medicine is so powerful, do you want to open the window to ventilate it first?" Hearing this, Ai Shi's eyes flashed with displeasure and he said, "What kind of medicine is so powerful? What kind of precious medicine have I never seen before? Besides, the patterns on the walls of my treasure appraisal room can prevent the treasures from escaping and the medicinal gas from dissipating, so feel free to take them out." Wu Date and others were a little frightened when they heard this. In this confined space, with the lines on the surrounding walls, can every ounce of medicinal energy not escape? Isn't this a rhythm that makes people dizzy? Even the big black dog shrank back with fear in its eyes. But Ai Shi had already taken the box from Wu Date's hand and opened it directly. In an instant, Ai Shi felt a strong medicinal aura coming from the front. Ai Shi only saw a lump of black medicine and a cup of yellow medicine liquid in the box. Then, Ai Shi felt his brain numb and dizzy, and his sense of taste was lost due to the smell. "What a powerful medicine, it's the best." Ai Shi Lao's eyes darkened and he fell back on the chair. He was fainted. On the other side, Qing Chen, Xuanhuan, and others covered their mouths and noses and trembled. "I really didn't have time to write last night, so I used my mobile phone to code this morning in the hospital. Sorry. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert." Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 769. Treasure Appraisal Room. Xuanhuan, Qing Chen, Wu Ziakan, and Xianqing Ai all covered their mouths and noses tightly. Even though Xuanhuan and Qing Chen had experienced it, they still couldn't hold it back now. The main reason is that the treasure appraisal room is airtight, and the Dao lines are still glowing, so that no smell can escape, and the smell in the room is dense. Xianqing Ai and Wu Ziakan were even more suspicious of life. What exactly was in this box? What kind of elixir has such a strong, that smell? Junior brother Dade, quickly collect your magical powers. Qing Chen and others couldn't help but speak. Wu Dade's face turned green at this moment. He pinched his nose and stepped forward to close the box. The Dao patterns on the wall were glowing, and many of the medicinal qi in the room were forced back into the box. Suddenly, the air in the room felt fresh. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Wu Dade stepped forward and pinched Ai Shi. After a while, Ai Shi woke up. There seemed to be a hint of intoxication in his old eyes as he said, "What a powerful elixir, what a powerful elixir. The legendary medicine energy soaring into the sky is actually real, and it can even knock people out. I will have no regrets in my life to have such a wonderful medicine." He sighed deeply and looked at the box on the table, his old eyes full of love. "Old senior, how much is this thing worth?" Wu Date asked cautiously. "What does this thing mean?" "This is called a magical medicine, a miracle medicine." Ai Shi was not happy anymore and said with a straight face, "You are so careless. Even if you use an ordinary jade bottle for this kind of strange medicine, you may not be able to contain the medicinal effect, but you are lucky enough to use such a crude box to taint such a precious medicine." He looked like he hated iron for not becoming steel. As he spoke, he stood up and took out 2 containers of the finest jade and said, "This is a jade object made of the excellent spirit-gathering jade. It can keep the medicinal energy from dissipating. I will replace the precious medicine first." However, Long Xuanhuan and others were all panicked when they saw this. "Want to open the box again? That's not necessary." Wu Date also shouted, saying, "Senior, here, why don't you give us the money first, then we leave, and then you can take your time and play by yourself." She looked at these young people and became more and more angry. "Why are you thinking about money all the time? Are you looking for money? Can you have some basic respect for precious medicines? They are really a bunch of ignorant young people." He looked helpless and could only say, "The value of this kind of precious medicine is inestimable. If calculated in terms of source stones, it would cost at least 1 million. When Wu Date heard this, he said with a bitter face, "Why is it only 1 million? 1 million low-level source stones can only be used as a deposit to enter the auction hall. But the items in this auction are all very expensive. Regardless of the price, the starting price is millions of origin stones. When the time comes to go in, it won't be enough. Sure enough, this damn thing isn't worth anything." "Young man, I haven't finished speaking yet," She continued. "When I say 1 million, I mean high-grade spiritual stones. Top-grade spiritual stone." Hearing this, Wu Date and others didn't feel anything, but Xian King Ai shrank her beautiful eyes and was shocked. "High-quality spiritual stones, 1 million. You need to know that one high-grade spiritual stone is equivalent to 100 middle-grade spiritual stones. And one middle-grade spiritual stone is equivalent to 100 low-grade spiritual stones. 1 million high-grade spiritual stones is equivalent to 10 billion low-grade spiritual stones. What kind of rhythm? You need to know that even if the four-realm sect Xianyi sect is the sect, the entire sect's wealth does not exceed 1 million low-level spiritual stones. Now, you can get 10 billion just by selling some magic medicine. Unimaginable. Actually, this kind of thing is really priceless. It's unimaginable. If you don't like it, even I can't be sure of its grade. Conservative estimate, 6-star elixir." Then spoke. Xian King Ai's heart was shocked again. 7-star elixir. This can be called a treasure. The 6-star elixir is hard to find in the world. It stands to reason that it can elevate a strong person from the 5th realm to the 6th realm alive. And the 6th realm, in the entire Wuhuang world, they are definitely the giant masters. Moreover, this is only a conservative estimate. She was a little worried and wanted to persuade the owner and others to sell it like this. It was too wasteful. This elixir can completely become the foundation of a super powerful force, enough to establish a sect. Then give us a conservative price, give us 1 million. Wu Date was delighted. He doesn't care. If this spiritual medicine is valuable, the worst he can do is let the big black dog come more often in the future. Hearing this, Shi's eyes flashed with secret joy and he said, "Are you sure you want to sell?" Wu Date waved his hand and said, "Certainly." A flash of ecstasy flashed in Shilao's eyes, but he quickly suppressed it and said, "Good." Immediately afterwards, Ta called Han He in and said, "I want to see the pavilion master." Han He couldn't help being surprised when he heard this. Can this treasure alarm the pavilion master? It's amazing. Please. Han He spoke immediately. "Young man, please wait a moment." Shi said something to Wu Date and others, and then left with Han He. Soon after, Shi and Han He walked into a secret room. In the secret room, a radiant woman with a veil on her face was looking down at a reflection crystal. In the reflection crystal, there are images of various antiquities sent for auction by the explorers. She is the pavilion master of Genshi Pavilion, Yu Linglong. Pavilion Master, AI Lao wants to see you. Han He spoke. Yu Linglong raised her eyes, a smile appeared in her beautiful eyes, and said. AI Lao, are there any treasures you like? AI she nodded and said. Elixir, I don't know the specific level, but I'll keep it at 7 stars. Yu Linglong's beautiful eyes suddenly froze slightly and said. You read that right? AI she nodded and said. I can't be wrong, I guarantee it with my life. That elixir, the medicinal energy was so strong that I was knocked unconscious by the medicinal energy just now. It's not a 7-star elixir or above, it definitely has no such effect. Yu Linglong nodded and said. In that case, it's not wrong to think about it. Who brought it? Did you take the medicine? Ash said. There are a few young people and a big black dog. There is something hazy about them that I can't quite see clearly, however, they don't seem to know the difference. I told them that the elixir was a conservative 6-star, and they believed it and only asked for 10 billion low-level source stones. When Yu Linglong heard this, she couldn't help but smile and said. A guaranteed 7-star elixir for 10 billion people? Our Genchi Pavilion can't be so dark. Give them 20 billion, and then only take half of it. The other half, help them auction it for free, right at this auction. Hearing this, AI she was shocked. What does the Pavilion Master mean? It only costs half, but the price is doubled to those people, and they are auctioned for free? In this case, what else can Genchi Pavilion earn? It's almost like doing charity. Don't worry about this little money. Yu Linglong smiled and said. Could the person who can come up with this kind of magic medicine be someone with no background? Nowadays, those who come to Wuhuang world are big customers. This world is getting more and more lively. Visitors and guardians have been added to the list. It seems that the news from the true ancestor realm is correct. The post-White Mist era is about to change. The legacy known as the end of 10,000 paths will end in this life. Great changes will begin in the 4 regions and 8 deserts. She didn't know what she was thinking, in her eyes as clear as water, and suddenly said. It's a great deal to spend a little money and watch a big show. There seemed to be something hidden in her smile. She wanted to say something, but in the end, he held back. He knew that once Linglong Pavilion Master decided something, no one could change it. As you command. Ash spoke. By the way, what do you think of the antiquities sent by the visitors? Yu Linglong then spoke. Ishideo. Those ancient relics are completely ruined, their charm is gone, and they are useless. In my opinion, the key to this auction lies in the ancient law. That volume of ancient law is indeed related to the martial lord of the pre-White Mist era. Pavilion Master, do you want to take it? Yu Linglong thought about it, but shook her head and said. Don't get involved easily in matters involving visitors. This power is too deep. To this day, no one can see through it. Go ahead. After hearing this, AI she left respectfully. Watching him leave, Yu Linglong murmured to herself. Why do I feel that ancient animal skin makes me feel invisible? A faint purple light flashed across her beautiful eyes. AI Lao, how are you? Han He walked up. Prepare 20 billion low-level spiritual stones. We need them now. Ash spoke calmly. Han He was directly shocked. 20 billion? This is to empty out the entire Genchi Pavilion. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 770. Soon, she finally came back. Little brothers, I have some good news for you. As soon as he entered the door, she smiled and said. Just now, Our pavilion master confirmed again that this elixir has a grade of up to 7 stars. It's the old man who made a mistake. Our pavilion master has ordered us to buy half of the 20 billion low-level source stones. If you still want to sell the remaining half, just arrange for today's auction to be auctioned. How about that? Hearing this, Wu Dade, Long Xuanhuan and others were shocked. Although they have no idea about the origin stone, the number of 20 billion sounds quite outrageous. They couldn't help but glance at the big black dog. Their eyes were like looking at a treasure mine. The big black dog couldn't help but take a few steps back and said, "Wow, what do you want to do? I'm warning you, I have a bottom line." Wu Dade said, "Of course there is a bottom line. Who says you have no bottom line? Who am I to worry about? You damn dog, don't worry, I will feed you every day from now on. After all, this thing is too valuable. The more the big black dog eats, the more money it will make." The big black dog was full of surprise and suspicion. This human pet, something was wrong. Next to him, Xian King Ai was even more dumbfounded. 20 billion, can only buy half of it. 7-star elixir. What level is this? She had never even heard of it. If word spreads, it may cause a war in the entire Wuhuang world. Countless masters from the 6 realms would break their heads for this elixir. Master, they are unfathomable. At this moment, she suddenly realized that under their simple appearance, their owners were so rich. You can easily come up with tens of billions of elixirs. My gentlemen, our pavilion needs some time to raise 20 billion spiritual stones. Do you want to go to the auction hall to have a look? At this time, Han He walked in with enthusiasm on his face. He looked at these young people. It was called making out. A big customer with a business worth 20 billion, he is almost closer than his biological father. Go, of course. Han He said, "Please, come with me, everyone, I will take you to the VIP channel." Wu Dade shook his head and said, "No, we have to go through the gate." The old man who registered the auction deposit just now looked down upon others, and he was so angry. Han He was startled for a moment and said, "Good." Immediately, Wu Dade and others left the treasure appraisal hall and walked towards the entrance of the auction hall. Haha, these country bumpkins were kicked out, right? You alone deserve to be in the treasure appraisal pavilion. What kind of shit treasures can you have? The old man who was in charge of registering just now continued to sneer at them when he saw them. However, as soon as he finished speaking, a gloomy voice sounded. "Go Yan, you are so brave." Han He walked out from behind Wu Dade and others and said angrily, "How dare you be so disrespectful to our distinguished guest? Someone, take it." In an instant, several masters appeared around him and grabbed Go Yan directly. Go Yan suddenly panicked, his old eyes filled with fear, and said, "Mr. Han, what, how could this happen?" He was panicked and scared. Why did these country bumpkins become honored guests of Genchi Pavilion? This is possible. I'll make it clear to you. Han He Leng said. These are the purple level customers of Genchi Pavilion. According to the cabinet rules, you should know what the punishment is for offending them. Hearing this, Go Yan was even more horrified. Purple level. This is a kind of classification of guests within Genchi Pavilion. Purple level means that the transaction volume with Genchi Pavilion exceeds 10 billion. Purple level, this is the first time it appears. No. Can these country bumpkins have treasures worth 10 billion? Go Yan is simply crazy. Damn it, why does such a big boss pretend to be a pig and eat the tiger? Too much. Tisk, Go Yan, your name was really correct. Wu Dade opened his mouth and said. Actually, you're right, we do, only have shit treasures. After speaking, Wu Dade smiled happily and said. Brothers, let's go in. He just wanted to vent his anger. Long Xuanhuan and others all smiled and entered. Enter the auction room. The auction hall was already full of people, all representatives sent by the big forces. On the second floor, there are many private rooms exclusively for VIPs. From the private rooms, you can clearly see the situation on the auction stage. This is cubicle number 33. It's exclusive to the purple level. If you need anything, you can call me at any time. Han He invited Wu Date and others inside, and then left with a smile. Closed the door. As soon as the door was closed, the big black dog rolled his eyes, sniffed the room, and said, "Wow, do you want to do anything to me? Court death." The big black dog had cold eyes and immediately waved its paws. At this moment, somewhere in Genchi Pavilion, the detection crystals have all been placed. He Luo stood respectfully in front of Zhao Jixiao and reported, "As soon as those people show up, with their talents, we can locate them." At that time, according to the auction rules, only those with Earth-level martial arts talent or above can participate in the auction. I have arranged for some people to compete with him, pretending to be equally talented, so that he will not become suspicious. They prepared this auction with great care. It was specially designed to make Long Xuanhuan and others fall into a trap. In their understanding, Long Xuanhuan holding the Chaos Sun shooting bow must be a martial arts wizard sent by the Guardian. Moreover, this means that in the true ancestor realm, the negotiations between the visitors and the Guardians have broken down, and the two families will start a life-or-death struggle in the martial wilderness realm. The purpose of this auction was to let Long Xuanhuan accidentally obtain the volume of skills that they had tampered with. In this way, martial arts prodigy Long Xuanhuan will unknowingly become a puppet controlled by them. They believe that it is impossible for Long Xuanhuan not to be tempted when faced with the legacy of Wuzun. It can be said that in the entire auction, everyone is just a foil and a supporter. Everything is ready now. Those who are short of guardians are caught in the net. Report. At this time, another man in black robe appeared and said, "Lord Qi, it has been detected, that person has appeared." Hearing this, Zhao Jixiao and He Luo were both overjoyed. "The prey has appeared. Which secret room is he in?" Kuru asked. The man in black robe said, "Number 29. And at this moment, in the secret room number 29. "Mr. Liu, how about the origin stone we prepared this time? Is it enough?" Sen Minji spoke calmly. The old man behind him said, "Master, please rest assured, it is enough." Sen Ming nodded and said, "You don't need anything else, but you must get that ancient book." He stared at the auction table, his eyes full of passion. "This time, I will gain a lot. I can find the magic left by Wuzun, and I can also gain a few talented slaves." Thinking of the slaves, he couldn't help but smile. Those poor people outside were probably waiting for him now, right? Now. In cubicle number 33. "Tisk, damn dog, does this really work? The art of moving mountains and filling seas, did you really send over the crystal piece that just sensed senior brother Long?" Wu Date asked. "Just now, they found a crystal in the compartment." The crystal seemed to sense Long Xuanhuan's aura, and burst out with dazzling light. It was about to explode, but it was controlled by the big black dog's magic power and stayed. Then he was sent to compartment number 29. The big black dog was disdainful and said, "Ignorant pet, just wait and see." And below, on the auction stage, a beautiful woman with a swaying figure and a radiant figure has already stepped onto the auction stage. She is the chief auctioneer of Genchi Pavilion, Bai Xuanhuan. "Everyone, please be quiet. Now, this auction officially begins." Bai Xuanhuan's elegant voice sounded. "Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert." Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 771. The auction begins. Suddenly, the entire auction hall fell silent. Everyone is looking forward to it. This auction is highly anticipated. Everyone must have heard about the treasures in this auction. Xuanhuan won't waste any more. Let's start the auction of the first auction item. The first item is the hilt of a short sword. Following by Xuanhuan's words, the two beauties brought up a jade plate. In the jade plate, there was something like a rotten bamboo pipe, which was a broken sword hilt. According to the appraisal, there is no divine energy in the hilt of the sword. However, this sword hilt is an excellent material for studying the great figure from the pre-White Mist era. There may be traces of his martial arts on the sword hilt. The starting price of the sword hilt is 500,000 low-level source stones. Each increase in price will not be less than 50,000 source stones. Start now. Bai Xuanhuan finished speaking. However, there were very few bidders in the auction hall below. Because the Genshi Pavilion appraisal said that there is no divine thing anymore. How can ordinary people study it with it? In the end, there were only 2 or 3 people bidding, and the hilt was auctioned off for 750,000 low-level source stones. Immediately afterwards, I took pictures of several ancient objects, all of which were claimed to be related to Wuzun from the pre-White Mist era, but none of them caused any waves. Next is a piece of cloth. Bai Xuanhuan smiled and said, "The piece of cloth is stained with blood. Some people speculate that it is the blood left by Wuzun, while others think it is the blood of Wuzun's enemies during his lifetime. The starting price is 1 million low-level source stones." This auction item immediately heated up the long-awaited venue. 1 million and 1 million. 1.2 million. In the end, the auction item was bought for 1.8 million low-level source stones. It's a small price. The next collection is a pile of soil. This soil is also contaminated with Wuzun's aura. It may be the place where Wuzun practiced during his lifetime. Moreover, these soils also possess a certain degree of divinity. According to the appraisal, there is a certain chance of cultivating a 6-star treasure medicine using this soil. Bai Xuanhuan then spoke. What came onto the stage this time was a pile of light yellow soil, which was wrapped in an ancient animal skin. What is the so-called certain probability? As soon as Bai Xuanhuan finished speaking, someone was already asking questions below. This is critical. Bai Xuanhuan didn't hide anything and said, about 5%. 5%. As soon as this number came out, many people's hearts sank. 5% is too low. It's normal. If the probability is higher, this kind of thing will never leak out. That's right, 5% is also a bet. For many cultivators who are stuck at the bottleneck of the 5 realms, the 5% probability is worth a try. Everyone was talking about it. Even though it is only 5%, this soil still has its appeal. The starting price is 1.2 million low-level source stones. Bai Xuanhuan then spoke and said, "Start shooting now." As soon as she finished speaking, various bids came and went. 1,300,000. 1,600,000. 2 million. The place became lively. After all, there are too few 6-star elixirs, and whenever one appears, there will be a huge scramble. Because a 6-star elixir means a 6-level master. This has a fatal attraction for those forces in the 5 realms. Tuabalai will settle this dirt, 5 million source stones. A clear voice sounded directly. Blowing snow. Many people's expressions changed slightly. Tuabalai the princess of the Northern Dynasty, is here. She announced her name, obviously intending to take pictures of the soil on behalf of the entire Balin dynasty. As a result, many forces may retreat in the face of difficulties. 5 million and 1 million. 5,200,000. But there are still people following. After all, compared to the attraction of the 6-realm treasure medicine, the intimidation of the Balin dynasty could not be suppressed. 10 million. Tuabalai Ugzio's voice sounded again. There is a temporary pause in the field. Haha, I heard that the ancestors of the Balin dynasty are running out of time. If they don't break through the 6 realms, they will transform into Tau. It seems that the Balin dynasty is in a hurry. It's doubtful how much medicinal properties the soil has left. It's a bit unwise to spend so many origin stones just for a 5% chance. 10 million, is still within the range. You can follow up again. Many people whispered. Immediately afterwards, someone still followed the price. 11 million. 12 million. However, although there are still people following the price, they are already very few. With more than 10 million, the forces from the 4 realms simply cannot compete. All the forces from the 6th realm and the 5 realms are following. 30 million. Tuabalai Ugzio's voice sounded again. Beautiful sound, but every price is astonishing. As soon as this price came out, many 5 realm forces hesitated. The accumulation of forces in the 5 realms can of course be worth 30 million. But that would cost too much. The general forces in the 5 realms will inevitably be severely damaged and will stagnate for several years or even decades. Paying such a high price just to bet on that 5%? It seems not worth it. 30 million? It's interesting, but it's a pity. I don't really want to see another 6th realm force in the north. In a corner, an old man whispered. He was an elder from Tailing sect named Xuanhuan. 31 million. He spoke calmly. 35 million. Tuabalai Ugzio gritted her teeth and held on. This soil is too important to Balin dynasty. It can even be said that it is related to the rise and fall of the Balin dynasty. 40 million. Xuanhuan smiled slightly and continued to speak. As soon as this number came out, Tuabalai Ugzio's side suddenly fell into a long silence. This number is a watershed. It is not impossible to continue to follow the northern dynasty. But that means Balin dynasty will be severely damaged. Going to all the trouble, just for a 5% chance, even if she wanted to gamble, she had a limit. 40 million times. On the stage, Xuanhuan's beautiful eyes were shining and she started counting down. This number far exceeds expectations. Originally, Genchi Pavilion predicted that the final auction price of this soil would be around 28 million. Now, there are 12 million more. Earn blood. At the same time, she couldn't help but look forward to it. She knew that at the end of this auction, there would be a heaven-defying treasure that would be auctioned. There is only a 5% chance of a 6-star elixir being born, but it is unimaginable to sell such a high price, that level of elixir. What will happen then? Twice 40 million. As she thought, she continued to count down, and the hammer was about to fall. 50 million. But at this moment, a voice sounded in a private room on the 2nd floor. In an instant, everyone was shocked. 50 million. Which force is this? Is this desperate? Tuabalai Ugzio couldn't help turning her head to look at the 2nd floor. Who is so courageous? The voice, why does it feel familiar? Xuanhuan also looked towards the 2nd floor. In the north, who is more eager to break through to the 6 realms than the Balin dynasty? He sneered, no matter which force it was, he would not allow the other party to get such an opportunity. 55 million. He followed directly. Everyone was shocked. These two people are exhausted. Hearing this, Xuanhuan was so happy that she almost jumped up. 60 million. What a huge profit. She couldn't help but glance at the 2nd floor, and her beautiful eyes were even grateful. This 2nd floor helped make more money. If she hadn't known that Genchi Pavilion never did this kind of thing, she would have suspected that the 2nd floor was entrusted by the pavilion. 60 million times. 260 million. Before the word CI was spoken, the voice continued to sound in the compartment on the second floor. 100 million. As soon as the number 100 million came out, there was a sudden silence in the venue. Is this too wasteful? Is this a force in the fifth realm that you have to fight for even if your vitality is seriously injured? Does it worth? 100 million source stones are enough to exhaust the accumulation of a 5-realm force. Moreover, now that the source stone has been exhausted, how can he still compete for the martial master technique behind him? Even Xuanhuan was startled. 100 million. Even if he wanted to snipe, he had no choice. The source stone you brought cannot be wasted on this soil. I don't. He was about to speak and said he couldn't argue. But the voice from the second floor interrupted him directly. 20 million. 200 million. Doubled again? Everyone in the field was a little furious. Damn, who is this? Are you crazy? Is it necessary? On the auction stage, Xuanhuan was startled. 200 million? Did you hear that right? She even wondered if someone had made a random bid. However, she knew deeply that the person who shouted out the sky-high price of 200 million was the real VIP. At this moment, Xuanhuan felt that all the cells in her body were trembling. This is her largest sale ever. The pinnacle of your career. She took a deep breath, her unspeakable parts rising and falling, and said, 200 million, once. 200 million, twice. 200 million, 3 times. Make a deal. She struck the final hammer. In fact, there was no doubt in the room. The sky-high price of 200 million, no one can compete. This guy on the second floor seems to have very strong financial resources. He will be competing for the martial master's legacy in the future, so we should pay close attention to them. Which force is it? This makes me very curious. Which force dares to spend so much money? Many people are speculating. A pile of dirt and the ancient animal skin were quickly delivered to the room on the second floor where Xuanhuan and others were. He delivered it in person. Distinguished guests, this is the collection you have photographed. There was a complex look on his face. Damn, the nouveau riche spend money fiercely. $200 million to buy such a thing. He felt like a Buddha. Okay, thank you for your hard work. Xuanhuan said, taking the animal skin and the sacred soil wrapped in it. He closed the door and left. Damn dog, look quickly, whose suicide note is this? Wu Dade spoke curiously. Everyone gathered around. When they entered the auction, it could be said that their main purpose was this animal skin. Dehe said that it might be the suicide note of the 10 gods or spirits. The big black dog man stood up, waved his paw, and all the so-called sacred soil fell to the side. Then, it suddenly stretched out its big tongue and licked the ancient animal skin several times. Seeing this, Wu Dade and others were stunned. What was the big black dog doing? But soon, some faint marks appeared on the ancient animal skin. Everyone looked at it intently. Those marks gradually became apparent. Hey, why does this look like a turtle's paw print? Qing Chen opened his mouth. Yes, it's really similar. Xuanhuan also said. The traces on this ancient animal skin are very similar to Zhang Li's little turtle, claws. Seeing this, the big black dog hurriedly spat out saliva and said, wow, poof. This was left behind by some dead turtle. They are all its footprints. Wow, I licked them all in vain. The big black dog was angry, it felt like it had been cheated.